Welcome back to Investing and Trading Live, sponsored by Online Trading Academy. My name is Josh Lilquist, and yes, we are still having a good time. In the last segment, we were talking about Bed Bath & Beyond, got into FedEx and some of the opportunities there, and what a lot of people are trying to follow, especially on social media, which a lot of times is just information. And just information can't help you make smart investing decisions. As Al was talking about, you need to have consistency in the market. You got to put the odds and probabilities in your favor. And where you find those odds and find those probabilities is on a price chart. As he mentioned, 80% of the activity is institutional order flow. Well, we want to do the same thing and trade with them, not like the public. The public typically struggle. Matter of fact, about 80% of people actually quit trading after 2 years. Well, it's because they're following people on Reddit, following people on Twitter, people that haven't educated before. They're just people that say cool things and are getting followers. And quite
Yep.
frankly, off that article I was talking about, they really don't have a lot of followers. If they have less than
Yeah.
1,000, they're just a regular
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. But if
And
you're guessing and hoping, that's not a strategy that will work for you long term.
Correct. Yeah, just go buy a Powerball ticket. But to come to one of these classes, check out the strategies, how to be consistent, how to add those odds and probabilities. You can just text the word investing to the number 210 for those of you that did miss seats on the last segment. Text the word investing to the number 210 for 2 seats for an investing class, and we'll introduce you to these techniques and concepts visually and physically in an actual class to learn about the financial markets. So, Al, you were alluding to in the last segment about using leverage in the financial markets,
Hmm.
being able to be more capital efficient rather than putting a whole bunch of money in a dollar stock or a 50-cent stock or maybe a $2 stock. And it makes you feel cool and great because you have thousands of shares. But now you're tying up a ton of money for a dog that is there. It's a dollar for a reason, or it's 50 cents for a reason.
That's correct.
Talk a little bit about, and let's discuss how to use that leverage in the markets with some of the different leveraged assets and how that makes you more efficient with your capital,
Hmm.
being able to do more with less.
Right. And I think people are probably saying, well, why don't I know about these leveraged assets? Why doesn't my advisor talk to me about them? Why
Well, there's
am
a
I?
reason why.
Well, there's a reason why they need you to need them, and they need to do their job in a way that requires less time put into managing your portfolio and more time into gathering assets for them to bring into their company.
And just to clarify something there, it doesn't mean that to manage a portfolio, you need to be doing it all day long. You just need a strategy that's designed to manage it proactively.
Yeah, but the important thing is that you have a portfolio that is specific to you, that
Yeah.
really addresses your goals and what your expectations are for your financial future and your financial present to look like. It's not just putting money into a typical Wall Street buy and hold strategy, which is where hundreds of thousands or millions of other people are basically in the same thing. The end result is that you may end up being average, and that's not what we want for our students. We want our students want to excel. They want to be above average as far as what they can do with their lifestyle, what they can do with their finances. Um, the leveraged assets also are you can be used as short-term investment vehicles, and we're talking about the futures market, the foreign exchange market, the options market. Uh, they can be very short-term. Sometimes people will be trading them in and out on a day or a weekly basis or monthly basis. But if you're looking for additional income, if you're still working and you're finding that after you've paid your bills and you've tried to have a little bit of fun in your life, that there isn't any money left over or very little money left over to feed your retirement portfolio, which is fed by an overflow of income from your income bucket, so to speak. So if you're in that situation, and we're finding people that are in the six-figure income that are basically living paycheck to paycheck. So what do you do? There are additional income sources, options, futures, forex. Those are things that all of the big players use. People like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett uses leveraged assets to make $8 to $10 billion a year. Every major firm, every professional trader, every hedge fund uses these leveraged assets. The problem is nobody's teaching you, or very few people are teaching you how to use them. We do that. We don't have a bias as to what you trade. Our only goal is to make you successful at whatever you're doing. Whatever your goal is, if you look at where you are now and where you want to be in the future, what's the best way to get there? For most of you, it's not going to be putting together a traditional mutual fund or stock buy and hold strategy that you just put money into, cross your fingers, hope that at the end of a 10, 20, 30-year period, there'll be some money there for you. The leveraged assets can give you income now, but then what happens when you go in retirement? When the primary source of income you have now is from your job. When you retire, the income from your job stops. The cost of living does not stop. In fact, in many cases, it increases. So how do you handle that? Well, the income strategies, if you learn them now while you're still working, those are the same income strategies you can use in retirement. So instead of just paying attention to or being concerned about how much money you have in a retirement account, how are you going to generate income off of it? Use that kind of look at it as a machine, a money machine or an income producing machine. That's one of the things that we talk about. Not only should you learn how to generate income off of those retirement accounts, but also continue to grow them. So maybe at the end of your life, you'd like to have some money to pass on down to your kids or your grandkids or great-grandkids. Maybe leave a legacy, maybe a charitable foundation of some sort. But ask yourself this: if you had to retire right now, no matter where you are in life, could you survive on what you have saved at this point? And a lot of you are saying, well, no, I don't have that much saved now, but I've got plenty of time ahead of me. Do you? Do you really?
That's an important topic there, Al. I think a lot of people do feel that way. Oh, I have time ahead of me.
Sure.
But then they still do nothing until that time.
Yeah, you're going to wake up one morning, you're going to be like 5 years away from retirement or going into retirement, and you're going to go, you know what, gosh, I wish I had done something 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 30 years ago. And the point I'm trying to make here is that you cannot count on the market, especially the way Wall Street has you investing, to have enough money when you retire to live comfortably, unless you're willing to take control over it. Because here's what you have. Most people no longer have a pension, and most pensions are underfunded and in trouble. But most people have to rely on a combination of Social Security and whatever their retirement savings is. And typically that's in a 401k or 403b.
What's the average around, was it 80 grand or something?
It's about 89 grand is the average. That's the average. That means, the average means that there are some accounts that might have $4, $5, $10 million in them.
Yeah.
So if you look at the median, that means half of it is above and half is below. That's closer to $27,000.
Yeah, and I think the study there was just a recent article that came out. That people that are going into retirement feel they need, was it 1.2 million is what they need?
1.2 is the average, but if you break it down by age, if you're 50 to, and this was on Yahoo Finance, if for everybody, all ages, it's 1.27. 1,270,000. If you're 50 to 59, the thinking there is that you need 1,560,000, but the average account is 77,000.
Yep.
So there's a big difference there. A lot of people are thinking,
yeah, they have 7 or 8% of what they need.
Yeah, it's very small. But a lot of people now, especially younger people, are thinking they're going to probably live 40 years in retirement. And here's a stat that I think is really sobering. If someone wanted to live off $4,000 a month after taxes for 40 years, taking into account 3% inflation, which is lower than it is now, and a return on invested retirement funds of 6%, they would need somewhere closer to $4 million.
Yeah, and if people don't have that right now, that it might be time to start doing something different. But I want to disagree a little bit with that article there about a lot of people think they're going to have 40 years in retirement. I think it's the opposite. I think people are going to have less retirement because they're going to need to work longer, and then people are going to have a tough time to retire. That's why it's so important now to learn the skills and techniques now to build these accounts so you're not in that boat. You don't want to go into retirement and be laying in bed and saying, honey, I wish we'd have done something different.
Right.
And that's why we have these investing classes, so we can introduce you to these techniques and concepts. These classes are free, so there's really nothing to lose here. Yes, it's two hours of your time. And if your financial future is important to you, now is the time to start to take action. So just text the word investing to the number 210 right now for 2 seats of this investing classes. We have these classes. We're local here, real easy to get to right off the highway. And it's a physical place to go. We have a state-of-the-art facility here, 3 different classrooms, and learning the skills and techniques. For over 25 years, we've been teaching these skills and techniques on how to get in the markets, how to do it safely, but how to have the opportunity to have more choices. Text the word investing to the number 210 for 2 seats for this class. Coming up next, we're talking about doing things now and taking action today. We're going to get into and discuss a little bit more about what can you do today? What can you do today that will hopefully impact your future in that positive way coming up next? Text the word investing to the number 210 for 2 seats. This is Josh and Al, investing and trading live. We will be right back.